So, yeah. Fuck video games, am I right?
In video games, the only thing more fun than video games is talking about how the sausage is made.
There's not a many. There are moments in time in when we cover stories, and I get blown away by things, but it's not often I can say that I get stunned, guffawed, flummoxed even.
I would say it's fairly rare that we would describe anything in a video game industry, which is like, it's business making toys, as disaster.
So for the last couple of weeks, you've been reporting on Marathon and Bungie.
Marathon, yes.
And and how that's been going. And I, as somebody who's looking at this from the outside, I've always heard cool things about Marathon, the original series, and Durandal, however you correctly spell it. And so this new version has
whatever pronunciation I gave you, it would be wrong. I don't know how to say it.
And so the this new version that has been launched is one of those things where if anybody's a fan of the older series, they've kind of given up hope on the fact that they're going to get any more of that. This is a completely different thing. And it was like, okay. But then I saw that game trailer and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, at least from
it does have a fairly unique.
It's got that art style going, and then you've got the gameplay elements where you played it quite length and saw that like it just didn't have what you were looking for off of the people that made Halo and Destiny, and
just missing that sauce.
And then I saw that kind of like that more story driven kind of trailer or cinematic kind of tone trailer that was like
won't be in the game,
showing off some more of that whole like concept. And the whole time I've just been like, damn, it sucks to hear about all these aspects not hitting because this art style is so fucking cool and is definitely a standout. And, I was preparing for a situation where I'd come in and then basically say something to the effect of, well, like, shame about this. You've called that, like, the studio's probably not going to be able to handle their next big release doing poorly. But at least somewhere, a really good art director is about to have an amazing thing for their portfolio because this game
you'll get some cool wallpapers at the bare minimum.
This game is visually full of my aesthetic. I love the color shit and the way it plays with it. And so
your aesthetic, huh?
I couldn't believe it. Like the one thing I've been like, yeah, but look at that though.
Hey,
look how fucking cool this world looks.
This is your aesthetic? No, it's my aesthetic. You made this?
I made this. Oh boy. Marathon has been accused of and has been proven to have stolen a ton of art assets from a designer, Anti-Real, who has posted about it and basically held up side-by-side screenshots showing you exactly where their textures were used, exactly where their, not just their design language, but like to the point where their name itself in the graphic design text has been put on textures in the game. The entire sort of aesthetic that you're looking at, when you can just go to the artist's website. You can go to our website, antireal.info, and all it is just a bunch of posters, and you can just scroll the wheel down and see stuff that got used as textures in the game Marathon. And it's fucking crazy that, like, you've in the industry, like, you definitely know that people will look at that and they'll create a style bible for a game. And sometimes you'll look at the style bible and see like, oh, here's artists we were inspired by, here's stuff that we kind of took some inspiration from, some inspo on the wall or so on. But to then see the actual final textures just be the exact things dropped in,
like the posters that I'm looking at right now, just transplanted directly over.
And Anti-Real kind of pointing out that, like, hey, No one ever contacted me about this, and had a tone that was essentially like, it's just tiring because it's like, I don't have the resources to like pursue this legally, you know, like I don't have the time to, it's like,
they're just an artist,
but just what the fuck, you know? And then everything after that, people follow up to different elements where you see, oh, the art director and members of the Bungie team have been following Anti-Real from before the game is in development in 2018, right? So there's a whole trail there. There's stuff that gets to the nitty-gritty where when you see a lot of Anti-Real's work, one thing that they've done is they've hidden Loss, the Control-Alt-Delete comic, references to it in their work. You know, it's a big meme.
And here's a screenshot of the exact goddamn squiggles on a wall in Marathon.
If you know the Lost meme, you know what the lines look like, and here they are dropped straight into the game. You know, it's pretty blatant. And yeah, and so, you know, it was so blatant that, you know, Bungie basically had to come out and speak on it. And to that, they have said that there was a former artist that is responsible, and that you know, they don't work for them anymore, I guess, and that this is yeah.
I have slightly more details on that.
Mm-hmm.
So the logic that they have is that they had an artist that used to work with them who basically scanned all this shit in to get to like the base level texture sheets. And then the general artists and the environment artists would just use the provided texture sheets to paper over the assets and all that. And people immediately went, but your fucking head of art and a bunch of your artists were like following the place where this came from. They didn't notice that it was like like one-to-one exact fucking thing. But also, like, Anti-Real's name is on some of these textures, and it's been like scuffed up, like looks like it's weathered, so it looks like old graffiti. Like it was intentionally hidden.
I just, like, you look, and the thing is, when you go to Anti-Real's site, you can see this is a professional, super sick designer who makes shit that is it's basically what I wear when it comes to tech wear.
Yeah, it's woolly, it's woolly aesthetic.
My clothes looks like that. I love it, right? Barcodes and numbers and geometric shapes and you know, large bold design blocks. And the weirdest part about all this is, like, you could have hired this person to just work a masterwork of their design aesthetic for you, original, but I guess the idea was it would be too expensive, or we want to cut corners, or we could do it ourselves, or we could just steal it and hope we get away with it, or, you know, whatever the excuses are. It just seems like the way that Anti-Real worded it when talking about it was like, hey, I'm open to working freelance for people. I don't know why nobody reached out, given how much you clearly like my work.
The answer to that question represents a kind of ethical tipping point in terms of benefit of the doubt. So I can't keep track of all of these, but I have been following this for a while. So the thing about plagiarism is that when people get outed as plagiarists, the eyeballs come out, right? Mm-hmm. And you start looking at other stuff, and you start finding, this too, and this too, and this too, and it turns out that plagiarism is a style choice rather than I don't have time, right? So of note is that we have talked about,
it turns out,
Bungie plagiarizing stories over and over and over and over on this podcast, and we missed a couple. So off the top of my head, they stole a fan artist's rendition of the primary villain of the Destiny series for a cutscene upcoming in their thing,
From
then
fan art.
promised oopsie. They also took a fan artist's rendition of the Ace of Spades as a Nerf gun and then put that into the game as a skin, and then got caught and then said, oh, don't worry, we'll compensate you, and then fired their entire legal team. So now there's no one to actually go through the compensating thing. They're currently being sued by a gentleman who alleges that they stole the Red War storyline from a fanfic he wrote, which may be valid or not, but they can't prove that they didn't because they deleted those parts of the game during the vaulting process, and a judge says that that people's YouTube videos of that content is not a primary source, isn't good enough. So instead of getting it dismissed, they're going to trial over it because they can't prove it. And now we have this, and this is like the furthest reaching. This is lots of assets. This is possibly a significant amount of the total art style for the game.
The entire style Bible, which I'm sure this has. It must. Anything this pronounced and strong has a guide that they follow that is that everyone is looking at. So what you're saying is there are 5 examples in recent time past of smoke.
Yeah. I also have to mention that somebody in the chat points out that Destiny always called vaulting content, but that lawsuit has shown that it's not vaulted, it's deleted. it's never legal. Coming back. It's not sitting away for a later revival. They deleted it. They can't even pull it up for a court case.
So, a pattern of being willing to just fucking take shit certainly does not bode well. And this is now led to, I guess, it looks like, shout outs, Gene Park got to sit down with Anti-Real and do an interview to talk about it.
There's a quote that she says in there that really stuck with me, is that as an artist, they got so tired of people stealing their shit and speaking up about it because they began to be known as a complainer first and an artist second.
Oh God, that sucks. It sucks, man, because you're just that talented, right? This is so okay. I just had a version of this conversation with a couple friends because this reminds me so much of, do you know Art Germ, Stanley Lau?
Yeah, I heard of him. I probably, if I looked at it.
Third Strike online edition character artist. So all the new Third Strike portraits, stuff. Amazing stuff. Art Germ has been a fucking GOAT artist for years. And from back in the QA days, me and Shmup God Pat and stuff, our desktops would just be like rotating through his DeviantArt page, because it was incredible. And he'd have the best like render you've ever seen of Chun-Li, the best render you've ever seen of Sakura or of Morrigan, and he just had like all these characters that are like wonderful. There's a very distinct, bright, smooth style to them, and it's powerfully lit. And motherfucker, if every single AI generated thing doesn't use his name in their prompt, right? Every generic AI thing you see these days uses bracket or uses comma Art Germ, comma Stanley Lau as one of the prompts in there. And now his work, people see it and think it's AI generated because the backbone of everything generated is using his for all the most popular prompts. It fucking sucks to see reality catch up and unmake your entire catalog, that you've talented with over the years have been able to. You've done such a good job that you've done too good of a job, right? And
you're now the bank to steal from,
right? You can go look at it. Go look at Art Germ's work and see how everything is just cribbing this. And so now this is it, right? The Anti-Real has done such a good job with this style that it is too good a job. And to be known as the complainer first, fuck me, that sucks. So yeah, the follow up then with all of this and for the whole game identity, the only thing I was holding on to that I thought was interesting here being just stolen, and then there's a history of this behind the company. Yeah, when you were like, how long does this company have? It's like, who the fuck knows? And so we have this article from Forbes now basically going like, morale is in the fucking gutter. Like the entire studio is worried about launch, and there's no talk about delaying or anything like that, but internally shit's on fire because it's quite clearly understood that Bungie cannot handle a major release like this being released into a hostile environment, quote unquote, and flopping.
So we need to pull back a little bit timeline wise, because of note, before Paul Tassi posted that over at Forbes, which was, in my opinion, the game's like overall successes, like nail in the coffin, is the live stream they did the day after the plagiarism accusations came out.
Which had,
so this live stream, which I'm going to send Woolie the photo.
I know, I've seen it. I'm aware.
I'm putting it in there anyway so you can look at it.
Plagiarism will make me a god, says Durandal.
No, I sent you a different one. I'm posting my Blue Sky link to it in the chat so people watching it live can get a look at what I'm talking about. So, of note is the backstory behind this stream. So what they were planning to do with this live stream was not have necessarily Joseph Cross, the art director, on the show. What was actually much more important is they were going to show off more gameplay stuff. However, the level of plagiarism involved and the timing associated with the stream that had been delayed multiple times meant that they could not show any of the game at all because they have no idea how much of the game's art assets are lifted
and what the fix for that is.
Like the fix is you got to go through every texture in the fucking game and cross-check it and audit it. And bro, that is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. That is going to take a bit.
Or do you cut a check? Like,
it's too late.
You know what I mean?
You can't.
Yeah,
do it.
No, but it's like
just do it.
Yeah,
but like it's still stolen.
So instead, what happens?
What happens is they wheeled out Joseph Cross, the senior art director, the man in charge of the art department, to fall on his sword and read a prepared statement, and have him sit there, and explain that it was a former employee and they're no longer there.
So he's not the former employee.
No, he's the boss of the art department
who has been following since 2017.
Yes, and he says that it's a former employee that they let go a while ago that had essentially tainted the texture pack with this stuff. Even though, and this is my favorite part, every time Bungie gets caught, they say that it was because of a unnamed former employee. No one who still works here.
This has been used before.
It was a person that used to work here, and they're gone now.
Could it?
Who are they? They're gone.
Could it be someone who used to work but then comes back, but then used to work but then comes back, and then in and out for a while? Could it be an in and out the door?
Like one time. It's been their excuse every time. It sucks as an excuse.
I mean, like, to be perfectly honest, like, it is kind of wild to just be like, go on stream and handle this, as opposed to just like, getting rid of the people involved in,
oh yeah, so
canceling a stream like that.
They put him up there, and he read the statement off of sheet of paper. And then there's lots of screenshots of the guy looking at the chat. This is plagiarism will make me God and Concord 2 and all this stuff. And he's like, he's not a media guy, and he's trying not to cry.
Yeah.
And because my heart is black and evil and dark, I think this is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I think it is. I think like telling someone to go out and die on camera because it happened underneath you is hilarious. It is the funniest thing that's ever happened. But
okay, all right, yeah.
But from like I work somewhere and they ask me to do this. That's crazy.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's the only part I'm like, how was this the official move to be like, no, officially go out there and just die on camera as the word of the company? Like, this is it. This is what we have.
Like, you fire these people. You fire the HR company under. Right. You don't send them out to die publicly.
The HR department and anyone involved in whatever crisis management, whoever they hire, like, that's what.
Dude, it makes the company look so.
It's insane.
Evil.
It's so insane.
Makes them look so cruel.
Like, okay, so the part where this person, like, is, again, like, whether this ghost employee exists or doesn't exist, and this this art team and everyone involved were following Anti-Real, so, like, you clearly have, like, there's lies.
Oh, it's crazy. You guys made a lot of textures look just like him. That's nuts. You did it from scratch.
If what you're saying is the truth, it's very weirdly suspicious and doesn't seem believable based on the fact that there's this other part of the story.
Either
right?
you are bad at your job and you willingly let it slide under the radar because you didn't want to know, or you knew. Those are the only two options here.
So blah, damage control. But as when it comes to, like, and so we walked out and beheaded, the traitor for everybody and spilled the blood and said, feast, masses, feast, and let the crows pull it apart.
Like, he still works there.
That's the craziest shit I've ever seen. I can't believe that was the official move. Like, just cancel the stream and put out a statement. Like,
I can only think of one reason why they would do it like this, and it's they want him to quit instead of firing him so that he doesn't get severance.
It's exactly what it looks like. It's a fuck you, this is your fault, right? You started this fire, you go put it out. Yeah, I guess so. But the knock-on effect of that is that when this is a company with a ton of people who are working on a game, who's like, again, their futures are attached to how this performs, and everyone that had nothing to do. Are
you telling me that if I screw up something they're going to put me on the live stream to fucking stutter my ass and explain it to the are you serious?
Just, and are the programmers over there just, like, going blood, and the fucking QA team is like, like, how is that the move? That's it. It's I don't see how the thought was, this will nuts. This will solve it somehow or so.
So the plagiarism stuff actually distracts to some degree from a bunch of other shit that happened during that live stream that also sucked ass, not from a moral perspective or an ethical perspective,
legal,
but from do you really expect people to buy this perspective? So the game has had two primary complaints. One, it does not have what's called proximity chat. I don't know if you have personally played a game with proximity chat.
Yeah. You walk up to people and then you can hear them and talk to them while you're close.
Right. This is like
Call of Duty shit.
Feature 1 of extraction game. You need to have the ability to proxy chat to your team so that it works like human players, and you also need the ability to overhear people as it is like the single most defining mandatory feature. It is a fighting game without a block button.
Yeah. Lethal Company and yes, all that's exactly. They're
and the second one is that, man, on top of the proxy chat thing, the game is so stacked for teams of 3. Playing by yourself is miserable. And it's not free to play, so getting your team of you got to convince your friends to buy the fucking game and all this. And the response to both of those issues was to treat them as if they are either non-issues or like, well, that's an impossible technical challenge or gameplay thing that we would have to spend ages prototyping. The proximity chat one is extra insane from Bungie because Halo 3 has proximity chat. Halo 3 was the game I ever played that had proximity chat. Bungie knows how to do proximity chat.
They've already done it.
Them acting like it's something they would have to figure out is insane, because you figured it out back in 2006. Halo 2 has it also. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so we're Zacy says, if there's no proxy chat, you can't tell that it's all bots.
Oh no. It's just... and on top of all this, it's like they're not going to delay it. The game is 3.5 months away, and we have to see an internal audit of every art asset in the game. Holy shit. We're talking baseline features aren't going to be there. And for Marathon fans, people that love the story and narrative of Marathon, when asked about, hey, are the 4 going to be PHFOR, the aliens in Marathon, are they going to be in the game to some degree? The response is, well, we don't want to, everybody wants to get to the aliens right away, but we want to leave ourselves room to grow. And it's like, you're like kneecapping your release so that you have like season pass plans later on this thing that no one gives a shit about. What the fuck? But more than all of that is Paul Tassi is saying that, talking to people over at Bungie, that in order to make ends meet on this has to be like top 5 selling game of the year. They got to do millions upon millions to break even on this shit. And it's not.
And that's
not going to happen.
And moving dates around is not a possibility. I believe the description is morale is in free fall, and the vibes have never been worse. So, yeah, it's real simple. It looks like you cut the check or die. There's no in between. And when I say die, I don't mean die on arrival. I mean studio over. Cut the check or it's over. I don't see any other solution here. If there's no ability to delay and replace the assets with your own original ones, another thing we'll get to. If there's no ability to get AI perhaps voices to talk for proxy chat, maybe Darth Vader will be the one talking when you run by a bot.
I can't wait to hear what he calls me.
Like, oh, actually proxy chat's fine. Actually, it's working great. James Earl Jones is right there. Listen,
so I would like to
you cut the check or die. I can't see a solution. I see nothing else.
I would like to go back in time with you for a second to Destiny 2. Because part of Bungie's mindset about the proximity chat is present in Destiny 2. They are like so hostile to basic social features at Bungie. It is crazy. I don't know if they added it since I stopped playing, but you know that Destiny is like an MMO where you raid. Could you imagine that there would be like no in-game looking for group option of any kind? That you had to...
How do you find...
Through Discord or forums exclusively.
Destiny is the most confusing fucking thing that has happened. Like, I've spent the last 10 years listening to you and everybody talking about Destiny and Destiny 2, and I don't understand what this thing is. Like, I know what it is, but I can't. Is it popular?
Well,
is it good?
Have barely touched
Do people
all
like
of the
it?
component
Do they play
pieces
it?
That make a Destiny.
Is it making money? Is it not making money? Is it not? Is it a failure? Is it? What is Destiny? Like, what is this thing? Why is it so unclear? Why is everything about Destiny and Destiny 2 so unclear every time you talk about it?
It is because they lie about how much money it makes. That's the reason.
Okay.
It is popular.
Okay.
And it does make money.
Yes.
And it makes way less money than they say it does.
Okay.
When they spoke to Destiny and got when they spoke to Sony and got their 3.4 billion evaluation or whatever the fuck it was, Sony just took them on faith that the numbers that they were providing were real. Like, one of the things that really stands out is that if Destiny was making enough money that it was doing gangbusters and it was something to chase after for their whole industry, Activision would never have allowed Bungie to buy it back from them. Activision is the publisher
would have been
that
an
runs things
essential
into
IP.
the ground the hardest.
They would have death gripped that shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Destiny keeps the lights on, but it's not a smash profit success. It's not like a fucking FF14 this pays for fucking Forspoken and Foam Stars kind of thing. It's not the whole rest of the company can burn down, but World of Warcraft is still here type of success.
But the absolute teeter-totter bipolar way that all aspects of the game are discussed is so confusing. You know? In conclusion, Destiny is Destiny then.
Destiny is a totally unique thing made out of a wide variety of games and genres that you have not played. The only part of Destiny that you have meaningfully interacted with, and you've interacted with a lot, is classic Halo feels really good to play. Destiny feels really good to play in a highly similar way that Marathon doesn't, which is the weirdest part of this whole thing.
I should specify that I did get Destiny 1 and I did play a couple hours of that, and I on the pitch of I saw the cool Traveler art and I was like, ooh, a floating planet moon above a planet seems like a cool concept. What does it mean? And I did a couple missions and I played it. So I know what Destiny is as a video game. What I mean is its place in the industry and with people following it as like avid players over the last decade is what it confused. That's the part that I'm
here's what
baffled by.
Everybody in the industry, it goes off of what Bungie says, which is Destiny is the most exciting and most successful thing ever, and we're rolling in money. And then it's not. And everyone wants to chase Destiny. And tons and tons of games want to be the next Destiny. And they all fail because they don't make their games shoot as good as Destiny. And then Destiny is doing okay.
That you see, because when you describe it, because the first part of that, you had me in the first half, because when you say that you usually go, oh, that means that everyone wants to do what it's doing because it's the best at what it's doing.
Treading water.
Right? It's the best at what it's doing, and everyone's like, damn, that shit's cool. We gotta like get into that space of what they're doing, because there's only room for the second and third after that, right?
Now remember, Wooly, let's think about this. When Sony hired Bungie, they did a couple of things. They said, we want to go live service. And you know who's going to teach us how to go live service? Bungie. So Bungie was the people that oversaw like 14 fucking different live service things come in and die. They were the ones who then also said, hey, Last of Us 2's multiplayer mode, no, that's a bomb. Cancel that one. Out of all the ones that got killed at the beginning, the one that would have been by far the best is the only one that died.
And so the thing here with Marathon now, it's like,
hold on. Then Sony gave them like $1 billion to retain staff during the merger. And then Pete Parsons use that money to buy stock off the employees and then fire them. And then went and bought out more cars. And then when he was interviewed about taking a pay cut, he said, well, we're just not that kind of company.
Baby, I love you. That's why I beat you. Because I love you. Because you're the only one for me. And if you ever fucking turn around on me, I'll show you what's what. Like, just... we spent this much to keep them in place to then like I
don't know how they didn't write a contract that mandated that they had to actually do that.
Okay, but it is a abusive relationship of a fucking IP.
Yeah. You want to talk about how fucked up Bungie is? I feel bad for Sony management. Because they got fucked out of like billions of dollars. They got hosed, man. They got tricked.
Poor little Sony's. Poor little board of directors.
I know, like crazy.
They didn't know what was going to happen. They got taken for a ride.
It is crazy.
Yeah, oh boy. All right. The unpack is nuts on this, but what I see here, what I understand here at the very least regarding Marathon is that like the timing for the genre and what they're doing is not off, even though it's using the name of a thing that people that are fans of they hate that's not what they wanted coming back. There is like this, like hitting this genre and getting a running start on it, and it being actually like really good and fun and engaging and everybody talking about it could be like the thing that keeps the company alive and going for, you know, however long, right? These open-ended projects that can last for decades.
I have a bad news about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Cliff Bleszinski did say one thing that like was like genuinely prescient and genius, where he's like, every large genre or game has room for the winner and then the runner up
and a third
and
maybe third place. Yep.
Fourth place.
That's what I was quoting earlier. Yeah.
For extraction shooters, there was Tarkov.
Mm-hmm.
And then came Hunt Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And you're done. It's done now. Like it is too late. But more than that is that an extraction shooter is unpalatable to non-freaks. The entire genre is based around the type of freak that is going to obsess on a game and goes, yeah, I lost every single thing I built up until this point. Whatever. Just let me get back in. That is a hardcore. That is like an Arma player. That is like a Caves of Cud player. That is a Dwarf Fortress savant type person. It is for freaks. And they said, hey, you know what we can do? We can sand off these edges because we're Bungie and we make games that shoot good, and we can make it palatable to non-freaks. And what they have made is a game for no one. It is still too vicious and mean and cruel for regular humans. And it doesn't have any of the stuff for crazy freaks that the crazy freaks want for freaks. And I know what what's going in many of your brains right now. What about Duskbloods, that From Software game that is of some way somewhat similar? Well, unfortunately for people in the games industry, From Software has gotten to a point where they are kind of like Rockstar Games, in which the company's name is its own fucking genre. That is a From Software game. It doesn't matter what's inside it.
Yeah.
It says From Software on it, and it has some moody looking sad people in a Gothic Victorian architecture. That could be fucking anything. It wouldn't matter.
Also, Night Rain's about to drop and Duskbloods is coming. Those could both absolutely tank, and like they're fine. Like,
oh, what? Can we just coast on 10 more years of Elden Ring sales?
Guess we tried. We tried some shit out. Okay. Here, I'll say this though, right? Potential counterpoint. If they didn't steal all the art and the game felt fun to play when you played it and you could play it solo, that would have probably gone a long way.
Wow. Hey, whoa. Wait a second.
You know, and maybe also if like, I don't know, like if you go on, you know how you go on a losing streak and everything sucks and you just get nothing because it's the game where like you lose it all, slip and fall and eat shit forever. Like maybe if you think about that part of it, where you find a way to design it where that people who are not the Tarkov freaks but still want to get in on the show and on the fun can have something for them. But for the most part, if you didn't steal the whole look and if the game felt fun to play, it might have had a place. And if it's not that weird third, it's still something where, I don't know, the studio's not in dire fucking trouble, right?
There's a couple of other things that happened during this that were of note, because so Arc Raiders had an alpha alongside Marathon's alpha, and Arc Raiders got rave reviews, and every day that alpha was live, their Twitch numbers of viewers went up. Marathon, I streamed that the day of the alpha release, and got decent numbers. And then by the end of the alpha, that the worldwide Twitch views on that had cratered to like 2,000 people.
Okay.
Like every single day that people watched Marathon, they wanted to watch less Marathon the next day. It's just not hitting. It's just not hitting.
Because like, what if the game was good? Is like,
right? Crazy.
But the thought process behind why I even ask that is because I'm like, when we talk about the genre, and I wonder, I'm like, do you have like, is this something when you look at the genre and go like, it's full, room's full, sorry, right? Do you have the example of the game where like, oh, that came out and nothing's wrong with it really, but it just wasn't the right time and it didn't have the marketing budget, or you know what I mean? Like, it's not the game's fault, it's just everything else about the space and time that it released into.
It can happen,
etc. Like that from time to time, you know. I don't know, like I feel like when you talk about like Monster Hunter style games and stuff, you know, I mean, beforehand the early there was the early era of like I think Tokiden, right? And
yeah, there were tons of those clones,
right? And
they had limited success because they were cheaply made.
And then later on we have like Wild Hearts, which you know was there and stuff,
much less cheaply made.
But like in terms of sticking, in terms of actually sticking, yeah, people are saying Titanfall 2 is the example of what I'm describing, right? I'm like, if extraction shooters had that or so, then like you'd look at it and go like, right, this genre being for freaks has created a small space and a limited amount of money and time and resources and fan base that are going to like invest heavily into it.
Unseat the throne? No,
but
you can't.
But like anything you release that stole all the art and plays like shit is going to like fart its way into it like that. So, you know,
there's one little extra detail that
anyway, that's the point.
Sorry, there's two little extra details. One of which is, as you have worked in game dev, particularly you have worked in QA, on that stream, they talk about weapon balancing, they talk about revives, they talk about, you know, all these types of nitty-gritty things. And they keep using this weird phrasing of like, yeah, we're workshopping some ideas and we're playing around with this. And like, I thought I was nuts, so I went and talked to some people, and I'm like, it feels insane for them to be talking about a game that is 3.5 months away and talking about like core systems and going, yeah, we're thinking about maybe completely overhauling this and and it's like, how was this shit not locked down like 18 months ago? What the fuck? I know the answer to that.
Is it because
the answer to that?
Okay, like can I guess?
An article from.
Is it because is it I'm going to guess that is it because of with something like Destiny where you're like, we'll play around with it in season 1 and by season 3 we'll probably figure that part of it out.
So that is what it is. With a little underneath is that there is an article from 2024 in March, I believe, interviewing people working on Marathon. So what's the vibe around Marathon? Well, it will not be this is from March of last year, describing there will be no delay ever under any circumstances because everybody feels that the reason why the date is so locked in is that the game just needs to live just long enough for the summer of 2026 bonuses to be paid out to the execs, which is the final payment date for the Sony acquisition, at which point they will all quit and just leave us hanging with the fucking whatever that we have built then.
Fuck everything about this, dude. Oh, what?
So the Marathon appears to be a scam being perpetrated on Sony by like Pete Parsons and the C-suite.
Oh, we can't even.
So they can get out with golden parachutes, and they just need the game to continue to exist until the summer of 26.
We can't even claim hustle on this. You can't.
This is springtime for Hitler.
You can't claim hustle. Oh my God. Oh. Okay, well, yeah, steal those assets then, I guess.
Yeah, Who cares?
Like,
the game, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna get my golden parachute, my Sony money.
And on the way out, if you're a fan of the old franchise, here, have a kick in the balls too. Just
so Sony is those people are going to leave the C-suite in 26, and then by the end of 26, I feel that Sony is going to fucking absorb Bungie directly into them under their management, and then Marathon will continue to exist under Sony management until it is canceled, probably in late 26, early 27, and then Bungie will make whatever the fuck Sony tells them to fucking make.
And in the meantime, the streams will continue, and each week we will progressively we'll card out someone else tied to the cross.
You know, this is the guy that was behind the animation on the assault rifle you didn't like, huh?
And you'll do that little, it looks like a C with the little circle in it. You know, the little Marathon logo? We'll carve that into the chest. And then
Jim Ryan over at Sony is responsible for might be the single largest loss of money for that company in Sony Computer Entertainment's history ever. Over a dozen canceled games, and then this fucking albatross. They are going to get nothing out of this, man. They are in the hole on it right now by billions. Something $1 billion for us to be talking about plagiarism.
So
can you imagine buying plagiarism accusations?
They cut the check to Anti-Real and it bounces. Oh man, wow. I this fucking game, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. And from where we were just a couple seconds ago, you know, like 1 or 2 episodes ago on this, to like, yeah, whatever. I guess whatever. We'll see. You know, there's no stopping the train, as has been said. They're probably like, for all the panic and morale shit that we're hearing about, the part where Anti-Real's like, yeah, I don't have the energy to actually pursue this legally or resources, is like a bit of an unclencher for them, because
so I don't think it is because
they could always change their mind. Certainly someone could step in and a bunch of people could be like, yo, I'm a lawyer, I'll do this pro bono and like take my pay off of the winnings, you know. Well, there's always that type of thing. I don't know.
I wasn't being sarcastic earlier. Bungie did, in fact, fire their legal counsel. Their legal counsel was hit with the layoffs. They don't have anyone who works there as a lawyer anymore.
Good.
So they're using Sony's people.
Good. This is good. This is good. Okay. Well, can we get Saul Goodman?
I do have some good news coming on. You know, Marathon might do really bad. It's probably going to be really bad, but and be a disaster. But I don't know if you even have this story on your docket. But I do have good news for Sony. They do have one remaining live service game coming out after this. Are you familiar with Fair Games?
Flashback to $ Fair Games.
That's right. It's $ Fair Games.
Fair Games. Yes. Correct.
Now, do you know what the 2 sticking points of Fair Games are in terms of like it's sell here?
Jesus Christ.
You don't. It's because it's fun. The only reason I know is because it's funny to me.
Well, it's just, yeah, I'm like, what event or award show was this revealed at?
It was the Game Awards, and it was like a CG trailer.
Okay.
I don't think it's ever been seen.
Okay. All right.
So Fair Games is a Sony live service game, and it's going to be hot. And you know how hot it's going to be? It's going to be like heist game, like Payday. It's going to be hot because they're using Gen AI to design art assets for that game. And that's going to save
yes.
Lots of money. And do you know what else is going to save them money? The head of the studio making Fair Games, Jade Raymond, has quit.
Oh, from back in the Ubisoft days.
This past week.
I remember that name.
And so they don't have to pay her anymore. So that's money in the pocket. And Fair Games is definitely a game that is absolutely going to come out. For sure. Definitely not going to get canceled in the next 3 or 4 months.
I see Jade Raymond left the studio 5 days ago, and in February it got delayed till 2026. AI powered. So caveat is that anything that has that word in it can attract outside investing because it's a buzzword to throw money at, right?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
But that right.
And I think the craziest thing after all of this is they're like, oh, we need a live service hit. What do we do? Is the squids are attacking Super Earth today. And Helldivers 2 is just as successful as it ever was.
You can now go to Super Earth. I did see that.
And it's like anyone with eyes could have looked at Helldiver, like these games in states of development, and be like, oh no, that one. That Helldivers one, that's the one. And you could tell that because the first game was a success on its own on the PS3.
Yeah, but really using AI to get yourself masks generated in your game, why do that when all the kids are out here getting Darth Vader to drop slurs on them? That's what I say. I say clearly the kids are trying to hang out with Darth Vader and watch him rank the races. I
have to admit a certain thrill in what you just said, because I'm curious now. I'm curious.
So
I'm curious about the ranking. I'm not going to look it up. I'm sure it'll be wrong. But I'm curious as to what the robot would thought.